Hi, my name is Dave Lissman, and in this podcast I'm going to share with you how I learn visually. You could call this videocast Confessions of a Visual Learner. It wasn't until I was an adult that I knew anything about my individual learning styles or that learning styles even existed. What I did know was that in school I was bad with numbers and I struggled with math. The routine of memorizing multiplication tables was maddening. Outside of school, I always enjoyed movies, TV, music, plays, musicals. I remember the first time I saw Fantasia. It was a kind of aha moment for me at a young age. In Fantasia, Disney animates music, telling a story through animation inspired by music. This was something that I had often done in my own head when I was listening to music. So to see it on the screen was a great revelation for me. As I went through school, a successful study and memorization technique for me would be to memorize a fact by associating it with a picture or some kind of mental image. I still think in terms of diagrams and charts. For example, I think almost anything can be explained by a bell curve, a standard distribution chart. To me, everything fits somewhere on that scale. In college, I gravitated towards philosophy, anthropology, economics, while practically failing at accounting and science. I found that I could visualize broad concepts and make mental maps of various social science theories. Yet I struggled with things that were digital numbers and details and things like that. As I look back, I realized that a lot of my speech carries visual and spatial clues, expressions like, "Ah, I see what you mean," or "That's a brilliant idea," or "We're far apart on achieving consensus," or "Your idea is far out." As I got older in business, I was the PowerPoint guru in my office. Even if I didn't really need to give a presentation, I might put together a PowerPoint deck. PowerPoint helped me lay out a contextual background, allowing me to see how different facts and inputs work together, leading to a cohesive understanding at the problem at hand. So PowerPoint actually helped me think through a problem, not only in communicating it to someone else. We usually think of PowerPoint as a tool to help us get ideas across. While that is certainly true, for me, the process of putting the presentation together helped me learn the topic at hand much better by providing me a mental map. As internet-based visual tools grew more powerful and became more available, I learned to use them to help master various topics. For example, I for years had struggled learning Adobe Dreamweaver to build websites. Eventually, though, through the help of online videos, I was able to teach myself the product. I also would copy the code from websites that I liked, and I would modify the code and run a test to see how the new page looked against the original. In this way, through trial and error, I learned a lot about how HTML is used to create a website. So I could physically change a piece of code on a page and then instantaneously hit a button and see what kind of a change that made. So it allowed me to be both hand-on as well as using all of these visual clues. Next, I'm going to show you a few examples of some web-based visualization tools that I have used recently that help me learn new topics. The first one is a chart developed by Google. What I was trying to do at work was to figure out how many other schools were using Google Apps. The first tool I'd like to show you is an online tool I found developed by Google in support of Google Apps for Education, and one of the questions that I have to answer for the school board is if we were to adopt Google Apps, what would some of the risks and benefits be to our school district. So what I wanted to do was find out a lot of things about Google Apps, and one of the things I wanted to find out was who else is using Google Apps, and where are they, and what can I learn from those installations. So I was looking on their website, and I found this tool, and it's kind of cool. What it does here is show you visually all of the places that Google Apps is installed. And as you can see here, you can actually see everywhere around the world where they're installed. Now these little tabs are all showing you the number of schools in a particular area that are customers of Google Apps. And so I'm more interested in the United States, so I'm going to zero in on the United States, and I'm going to click an area near in the Northeast that I think might be interesting. So on this tab I can see that there's 11 schools or school districts that have Google Apps, and as I click through them I can see the names of them. Some cases they take me to their websites, and Delaware Community, that's pretty close. And here are some comments from users as well. So these are tidbits and quotes that they get from people who have who are the users of these things, and that helps you. And then you can click and go to the website. And what I have done is incorporated this online visual into a PowerPoint presentation that I plan to give to the school board later this year. And so it will hopefully help them understand how widespread Google Apps are, and how many, very top-of-the-line school districts are using it. The next online visualization tool I'd like to show you is also provided by Google, and it's part of their Google Maps suite of products, and this is Google Directions based on their maps. And recently I took a vacation to Switzerland, and we rented a car and sometimes took the train, but we were traveling around to different areas in Switzerland, and I wanted to understand how reasonable it would be to get to different areas in Switzerland. So I really didn't necessarily understand how big Switzerland was and where these different cities were in relationship to each other. So I got into the application, and first I looked at where is Switzerland and zeroed in on that. And then the city that we're flying into was Zurich, so I typed Zurich in. And let's see, the next place I want to go to is Lugano, which I know is in the south somewhere, but I typed that in there, and quickly it shows me the best driving route to Lugano. And I can see that it's 2.5 hours to drive there. That's not too bad. And I know another place we wanted to go to is actually on the west side of Switzerland, and it's off of Lake Geneva, Montreux. And so I put that in there, and wow, that's kind of longer, and it sort of takes me up and out of the way. And then from there I'm going to have to go back to Zurich to take the plane home. So it's 8 hours, but it's mixed over several days, and it looks to me like nothing's necessarily more than 2.5 hours to drive from one place to another. But that one drive from Lugano to Montreux seems kind of long. It's 3.5 hours actually, and I'm kind of going all the way north, and I'm just wondering if there's a better way or a different way to do that, and Google lets me do that. I can trace through the route. You can sort of see as I go up and down that it takes me to different places, and shows me the turns and things like that. But another thing that I can do here is I can then, moving my cursor down, test some other routes and see what they would yield. And so here's another way for me to go, and it's about the same time, and in actuality I think it's some smaller roads. It might be a little bit more direct, but it's not really that much different, but it is a possibility, and I can look into it further and make sure that it's a valid route. But anyway, this was one of the tools that I used to help me plan out my vacation, and it's something very visual, and it's also very interactive as well, and it told me very quickly, within a matter of minutes, was it possible for me to drive around and take the train to these different places, and the answer was yes. And so we did base our vacation based on sort of this information, and by the way, it was a wonderful vacation.